This is my first post with my brand new $2.38 readers, including the case. I bought them because of all the eye strain with work and blogging. I'm a big time spender. The other day, Mr. Bat, apparently touring Israel and Europe, and another friend sent me this speed dating ministry link. Not something I'm really interested in, but to be a friend, I contacted this ministry. Now, since I've no longer been a student and being in the workforce, I've been socializing a lot more. Speed dating's not what I would consider one of the best options for meeting people, but I contacted this ministry, sure enough, and I am somewhat sympathetic to their position, so I will be fair and balanced as possible. I was confronted with the usual groupthink. When I was told most women in North America and in Vancouver do not want to date men 15 to 20 years older because I shared my position and story. Just didn't sign up and say I was interested. And the person that I was emailing with did admit that many of the men would, however, like to date women 15 to 20 years younger. So although they had to limit the age for the women, which I can understand, to get them to come out, on the other hand, there is a red flag because they're not reaching out to many of the men. And I was contacted by my two friends because of a shortage of men, and then I contact this ministry, and then they're giving themselves more to the women than many of the men. So I would say that is a red flag. But again, I can understand that if many of the women only want to date men their age, that's their deal. But it is a red flag. It does make me think of a post back on September 20th, 2013 on Dr. Russell Norman Murray. Thoughts on educational and cultural trends, when Albert Mohler was discussing interviews with two female researchers. And one of the thoughts that came up was how many men in Western society were just viewing relationships as not rational in Western society. It's just something to ponder on if much of it is geared towards females and not males. I'm not saying that's the biblical position to take. I don't think it is. The biblical position is to obey the scripture, to follow 1 Corinthians 7, Matthew 5, for example, and to seek to do what's right. But I will give them the point that it does have to be rational. At the same time, I received another ministry email, and I do work presently right now on Friday nights, so I can't attend, but this seemed a much more useful ministry. It was basically dancing lessons, dining, and mixer. And I'm not huge into dancing, but I will dance socially when needed. And it's singles of all ages. And this, to me, is a much better approach. Not as restrictive, and much more socially open for many people. And even if one doesn't dance, well, everyone eats. People can socialize and mix together. So there's two approaches to ministry. I think the second approach is probably a more useful one. But again, I'm sympathetic to what the first ministry is doing. I'm not going to be one-sided completely, but still think there's a red flag there. And I favor the second approach. I can see better in my $2.38 readers.